All right, well, we're back again with AlexTheMarshal, and yeah, so many things have changed since I saw you last. We did a podcast in Poland here, and we're back again. This time we're in my house. Last time Alex hosted the podcast, he ran it all. I think it was very smooth. But now we're in my house, so I think that, yeah, it's good for me to do the intro. But I think it's very obvious this man has lost a lot of weight. I would say a fuck ton of weight. I think that what I really noticed is when we did the podcast last time, you said to me, Stephen, the one thing that I want to change is my fitness. You're like, I'm still a bit of a fat bastard at the moment, and I want to change that. And now, I mean, it's what, 8 or 9 months?
Yeah.
And no one can doubt that he has in fact changed it. You know, I think that he's definitely done the work. How much weight have you lost?
I've lost 44 kilos.
Okay, so for the Americans, it's only 100 pounds in 8 months, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What's changed though? Like what happened? Was your diet shit before? What was, because you were still training, right?
Yeah, I mean, my diet was bad, but also I think my habits were bad. Like, I've realized a year ago that, okay, there are so many things I need to change, also personality-wise, but also how you look resembles your personality.
True.
Right? So I've just decided, okay, I'm gonna just dedicate my entire schedule to doing two most important things. So being better at my business, but also just getting into a better physical state.
Are you
right?
training twice a day now? Like
No, 3 times.
Okay, yeah. And you're doing your MMA or boxing as well, right?
Yeah, I mean,
heavy cardio.
I do boxing like 2 times, 3 times a week. But
you're training every day?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Gym, running, and like I do a lot of biking as well, cycling. So.
And what's been, do you think, like the hardest part of the weight loss? Has it been a massive thing where you're starving yourself, like hungry the whole time?
I've used my strategy that I super recommend to people, which is just go for a few months on a strict diet, strict cut, and then like go to maintenance calories to regulate your leptin, which is like.
So you had a big shock to the body.
Yeah. So yeah, essentially a shock to a body, but leptin is like a hunger hormone. So it essentially gives you, okay, I'm hungry, and like, yeah. So when you regulate your leptin, you feel like it's super smooth. So go for like a few months on a cut, then go back to maintenance calories, and you realize that, okay, I'm feeling super good.
How many calories are you eating now? Because you're still a big guy. Like you're always going to be heavy. How much do you weigh now?
102.
Okay, so you're still like 220 pounds.
Yeah.
And you would still eat?
I'm still on the cut though.
Are you eating carbs?
I limit them a lot.
Okay.
So like for a few days I eat 0 carbs.
Okay.
And
so
then like I eat a few.
Cycling.
Yeah, cycling, exactly. I eat now 1,750 calories. So it's little.
For a big man, it's still little. But what you notice, you haven't really seemingly lost muscle. Sometimes guys come in and they look really like strawn out. They say, I've lost weight, and it's just like their neck is like now a pencil.
Because like honestly, it just depends on your protein intake. Like I've realized that, okay, you can be on a cut, but if you train, if you actually, you know, do your macros, like proper macros adjusted to your body, then you won't lose muscle.
Are you eating a lot of meat, or do you eat a lot of like supplements? What do you sort of mostly?
I eat meat only.
Okay. You're not taking a lot of protein powders?
I don't take any protein powders.
Creatine, none of that shit?
Nothing.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff is kind of overhyped compared to real food, right?
Yeah, I mean, creatine is definitely like helpful. I used it in the past. The thing is, if your diet is actually good and like adjusted to you, you won't need any supplements. You won't need protein powder or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get on all your vitamins and that. I mean, obviously still healthy. And the thing that you've done now is you've lost it young. So, you know, your skin and everything, they'll go back to normal. Versus the person who loses it at 50 and the elasticity is not there. Yeah. They can look a lot worse. But how do you feel like walking around much lighter? Do you feel like you can move so much better when you box or train?
I mean, like, not only movement, like, I just feel like healthier, right? And when I was like at my peak weight, I've noticed that, okay, I feel super horrible, didn't have any energy. And one thing I've noticed is like I also had headaches, back pains, and like high blood pressure, so stuff like that. So that definitely changed for me because I genuinely feel like healthy now. Like I feel good. Like I feel like I can do amazing things now.
Are you proud of yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. And do people treat you different? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, I mean,
do people treat you different though in the other way? Like they treat you like, oh, you're changing too fast. Sometimes, you know,
So
there can be almost a jealousy comes into play.
daily interactions definitely changed. Like in a way, like people are nicer. So I mean, like I honestly can't blame them because like everyone has some sort of prejudice
Yeah,
in a
of
way.
course, yeah. It's like
Again,
biology, right? They don't really
yeah,
mean it, but it's up there.
yeah, exactly. It's like subconscious
They
thing,
don't respect
right?
you as much as a fit
Exactly.
person.
And I've noticed that for sure. But also like people that were close to me before also kind of started treating me different in a way, but in a positive
Yeah,
way.
that's a good thing.
Yeah. But I mean, like honestly, like nothing that much changed. But I can see like a little hints.
And you had to buy a whole new wardrobe.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pants, everything changes, right?
Yeah.
But everything looks
Everything.
better. You'd get
Exactly.
by with wearing just even basic clothes look better on someone who's in shape versus Gucci on someone who's built like a planet. You know, but you're
Like,
yeah, it's very you should be very proud of yourself to have actually done it. And what I really like is that you said it right. Like I remember that last time we did the 8 month ago podcast, you said this is my issue, this is what I want to do, and you did it. I mean, from that moment onwards, you must have just said, I'm going to get serious about this and do it. Because I mean, 8 months to lose that sort of weight is what's that a week? I mean, you must have been losing
a lot.
a lot of weight, man. A lot of weight. Yeah, it's surely at least a kilo a week consistently for the whole period. Yeah, even more. It's I mean, you should be very proud of yourself. I mean, I would hope that you continue it. I mean, I imagine that you're going to. And what did you say that your goal is from now? Your goal is not so much to recomp. You said you wanted a 6-pack, or you're going to keep moving towards it.
I honestly want to just feel my best and just look the best I can. And like my goal is not to be like, this huge guy.
Yeah, like roided up.
Yeah, I want to go really heavy also into boxing.
Okay.
So I want to
be able
have like
move.
this type of physique, like more like athletic rather than just looks based.
Especially for a big person, because you can get away with putting on the weight and it doesn't look that bad on you.
Yeah.
But you still can't move as well and you want to be
Exactly.
healthy, right? No, I mean, it's really good. And what else has changed with business?
So what changed with business is like I do things much differently. It's like I operate in a totally different way because I've changed a lot since last year. Like I personally think so, and like many people said to me that I've changed a lot because I feel like I've grown up and my perspective on things changed naturally. And I just operate in a way to just make an impact. So I believe that most important part of life is making an impact, a positive impact on people. So like for example, you don't need to be like a millionaire to make an impact on someone. You can literally be a cashier, for example. And if you are nice to people that come in and come out of the store, you make an impact.
Because you've seen it from the other side, like you said. You've seen it where people don't treat you as good compared to now. So now you can have some sort of empathy, right? 'Cause
Exactly.
you've seen both spectrums.
Yeah, and if you make an impact, positive impact in the world, I truly believe that not only your mind will benefit from it, but also like you are showing God that, okay, I am in here to do good things. And many people don't want to make an impact, but what they do want is money, just that. And I just want to help as many people, inspire as many people. Like every day I help like hundreds of students, for example, in the
Real world, right?
Exactly.
Tape product.
I help a lot of people. That's my goal. That's what I try. And in terms of business, I just try to help people with it as well.
Well, people, like even in the real world, were they still surprised at your age? Like once people sort of heard you talk and, the things that you add, because you do know quite a lot of information, a lot of things, and you still have your own business, things like that. But when they hear your age, they're like, oh shit, this guy's like way ahead of what I would expect for his age. So it's like age can be kind of like a number, right? Like you see some guys who are 40 and they think, oh, surely listen to me, I've got all this life experience, but they don't know very much. And you can see someone who might be 18 or 20 and they're actually an expert in their specific lane already. So I think that it's not so much just age is essentially can be just a number.
I agree. Like age is a number in a way. But what I truly think is many people don't realize that they can achieve amazing things. Like people at high school that are 15, 14, whatever, they can change the world. Like they can change the world for the better. Even if it's a small thing, they can change it. They can achieve whatever they want to. But many people just don't realize that because they are held back by their fear, right? People feel fear and like they are conscious of it and they are being held back by it.
Yeah, it's
right?
like the saying that be the change that you want to see, right? Like
Exactly.
be the change you want to see in the world. Don't wait for to show you like someone else to step in. Be actually do what you want to see in the world. You want to see people less trash on the street than be the guy who picks up the garbage off the floor. I mean, if that's
Exactly.
really what you want in this world, you have to contribute,
Exactly.
not wait for change, because change doesn't starts with a person, right? And then it moves that way. But what I notice about you is like you run your business based on genuinely helping people. And I think the more value you can provide, the more problems you can solve,
Mm-hmm.
then it eventually does become monetizable, or you can move it because you are actually helping people in tangible ways. But yeah, I think that it's good to be empathetic, and I think that it's kind of almost becoming a lost thing. Like guys, I think many men think like being empathetic is like feminine or weak, and it's just so far from the truth. You know, like being able to empathize with someone else who might be going through something that you yourself have seen or you yourself have been through. That doesn't mean that, you know, it's not a weakness, or it's not like something that is only for women. I think that it's a part of having like a high EQ, like being able to read the room, being socially aware, you know, not being so like autistically harsh on people. You have to be able to be empathetic with, because business is solving problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like people are going to come to you and often they can have problems or issues, and you have to be able to put yourself in their shoes to solve their problems. So I think some of the best guys in business will be very high EQ, very high socially, and very aware. Because psychology, like it's psychological.
Yeah. I mean, empathy is super important as well because I believe most people in this world are driven by hate and like negative thoughts. While if we think about it, like our entire meaning on this planet is to be positive in a way, right? No, I'm not saying to be happy all the time,
Yeah.
like rainbows
But
and sunshine,
moving,
but moving in a
climb. Yeah,
positive
climb,
direction.
right?
Exactly. Like I don't know if everyone like watching believes in God, but God is a positive being. God is love in a way. And but people are driven by negative things, hate
Yeah,
and stuff like
envy,
that.
jealousy, what they don't have,
Exactly.
consuming. I'll show that I'm better than you because I'll get a better thing than you, and then everyone will know I'm the best because I wear the best clothes or I have the best stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not really what's inside, right?
Exactly.
So if that drives you, I guess it never ends either, because there's always someone above that. And, you know, it's kind of becomes a race to the bottom because people just claw over each other instead of help each other up.
Exactly. And negativity also destroys you in the end.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think you become what you see, right? Like what's in here is how your world goes. I'm a firm believer of that. So if you're consumed by negative thoughts, you watch a lot of negative stuff, I think that your world will naturally become very negative. Versus if you're, I don't understand the hippie stuff so much, where they say the frequencies, but I think there is something to that, because people who are, if you go in a room and no one knows each other and there's 100 men here, you'll find the guys that kind of gravitate to you or find you, or you end up going as very similar to you. And people kind of end up like finding their own level or matching up, even when they don't know each other. You go to a party or you go to an event or something, and I don't know really anyone here. And then the people that you bump into are kind of like you. You know, the people that come up to you, they're very similar. I think that, yeah, it's the frequency or something like that is kind of a real thing. Like what you operate on, you kind of find, and you want to get on that higher end where you're not controlled by those negative emotions, like you say, jealousy, envy, gluttony, sloth, like laziness,
Exactly.
pride,
Negativity.
like excessive pride. That's why I asked, you know, you're proud of your accomplishment, but then I understand you're already on to the next one. So it's a good thing. You're only as good as your last win, but you're already looking at the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, like many people focus too much on the past and they don't focus on the now and the future. And like being like going back all the time and like looking back to your past is useless because you are not going in that direction.
I agree.
And like many people have this sort of thinking that they fear the past, like they constantly
They're in the
overthink.
rear view mirror still like driving, but they're looking at like, oh, my ex, or my like, oh, one of my friends, I wonder how he's going, or like, you know,
Exactly.
they're on shit they can't control,
But-
stuff that's over.
Yeah, and they are going in a totally different direction.
They can't steer straight, right? I find that, yeah, with a lot of guys with their exes and things like that. I have to do this to prove to my ex that I'm better than her, or that. If you're doing that, like you've already lost. You know, you have to move forward. I think part of that I think Tristan put a post like that, like the best guys, the best men are men who can let go of the past. Like they can let go of losses, wins, but they can keep moving forward. It's like life, right? Like if you're on the battlefield and a friend of yours gets shot and he's clearly been shot, he's not going to get back up. You can't just sit there. There's still a job to do and like mourn. You have to keep moving forward. Like that's done, you mourn later, but you have to keep going forward. I think that's very much part of life as a man. But you here in Poland, you're not from Warsaw. You weren't here.
I am from Wrocław.
Okay, yeah, I know that city. And that's probably 3 hours from here? Something
Yeah,
like that.
3, 4, yeah.
And then you have dad's British or
That's
English?
British, yeah.
What do you think of, must be some changes over there? Like, what do you think in general of how things are moving in Britain? Because I've seen, from my opinion, I mean, I was in London 12 years ago, and then I was there last year, and I think that it's going very different. Like, I think it's going kind of downhill, but it would be nice to hear from someone who probably knows a lot more about it than me.
So I lived in England for a very long time, and trust me, like, my life over there was like horrible in a way. Like I got involved with drugs, stuff like that.
Weed or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. So
that's pretty big over there, right? That's
exactly, yeah. And like I kind of got into like a totally different lifestyle that I would never support now. And like I was just you can walk down, like, for example, London, and you can see, okay, those people, like, you can see those people, for example, smoking weed, stealing, whatever.
The big hoods on
Exactly.
during the day.
Tech fleece.
Yeah.
Tech fleece on.
Big puffy, you'd pull it up and there's
I was this
machete.
person. I was this person for some time.
That's big culture over there, right? Like it's a big percentage of the people.
I was this person for some time.
And they're young. They can be young men, 13, 14, right? Exactly. Still doing it.
And when I was this person, it was like I've realized how big of a problem UK faces. It's not even about, like, obviously immigration, stuff like that. It's a huge problem.
They got the drill, right? That sort of concept.
But the culture, it's the culture of the people that is totally destroyed.
Seems to be getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah. And I wouldn't blame it all on immigration, stuff like that. I would blame it on social media, because people in UK actually believe that they are not living their own lives for being better. They just live their own lives to impress people.
Kind of in the negative frame,
exactly. Right? Like all of my friends at school, what they were doing was posting like a bunch of stories with them in different tech fleeces,
drugs,
and
money,
like trying to
impress, the usual stuff, right?
Smoking weed, stuff like that.
The knives and crap now.
Exactly.
Sort of shit, right?
And they are not even trying to do something better.
It's not long term, right?
Exactly. Like, if you want to live this life, you're gonna die.
Yeah,
you're gonna die.
Right?
You're gonna go to jail, whatever. You need to genuinely change your ways, like, if you are doing that, because that's not only gonna ruin your life, it's gonna ruin your future, it's gonna ruin your parents, like, their thinking and their hopes for you. But
and it's very negative, like you said. It's consuming a lot of negativity into many area.
Yeah.
And if that is a real thing, you know, that the energy is kind of all around. I mean, it's a lot of negativity in one area. So I think you can't help but feel like it kind of consumes you, I guess, when you are there. Because even when I am there too, I feel like it's very dreary. I feel like my energy itself is lower. The weather sucks. Like many things kind of suck when you're over there. Everything's expensive too. I was over there. I was surprised. Yeah, I was surprised how much things actually cost over there. So I don't know how people can afford to live. But yeah, I think that I think the same. In my view, it's not so much the immigration, but I think the immigration just pours gasoline on an already started fire.
Yeah, so like
adding a lot of poor people on top of people who are kind of that sort of culture just doesn't help.
Yeah, it's like the culture is on fire, and then you put like a bunch of different gasoline, so
tons of people who might not have money, very little education, and it doesn't really help at all. But yeah, it's crazy to see how much things are changing. I thought the Brexit thing, when they exited from the euro, or they didn't take the euro offer, maybe that would be good, but it seems like they're going in their own direction anyway. And then you compare it to around the euro, it's wild times at the moment.
Do you know how Australia is changing?
Yeah, I think Australia is changing in its own way, but it's not changing. It's changing in that the property markets and things like that are probably even worse than here. I think they have some of the highest valuations, some of the lowest yield on any property that you can buy. I I think if you're living in Sydney, Melbourne, and now even Brisbane, even Perth, the major capital cities, or even within an hour of those cities, it can be hard to get a place that's like you couldn't really buy. I have a lot of friends that live there, and they think that they might be working a trade. Maybe they're a plumber. Maybe they're a good trade. Maybe they're on 100,000 Aussie dollars a year, and they're still like, it's very hard to save to buy a house because house prices just keep going up. So every year, the deposit you need gets higher and higher and higher and higher. Because if it's okay house is 800,000, and then it goes up 5% a year, and now it's 840, 88, or climbing again, probably 882, and that means that you have to save an extra 40 or so a year just to get that minimum requirement to enter. You know, so it's very like you have to service that extra debt. So maybe you have to come up with like an extra few K, but when you're saving, it's not that easy. And I think that it's the Aussie dream used to be the dream of owning a house and having a family and things like that. And I think in many ways the inflation and, you know, they have a lot of things over there like cash for visas and things where you can come over to Australia and maybe you invest $1 million in property and then you might be able to get a visa, you might be able to get this. And some of the guys coming from China or other countries, it's harder to monitor where the money comes from. So they do end up buying up a lot of property and it drives the prices up. So when you're a local, it's harder to compete. Like it's harder to compete with that influx of outside money. And then it becomes a big problem because then the rents and everything can rise. And then it's this, people just getting squeezed. I know many people even here and they spend like 80% of their money on rent. You know, they get paid, they might be on a normal wage, they want to live 20 minutes from Warsaw. Maybe they spend like 70, 80% on rent or all of that sort of stuff like insurance and electricity and stuff like that. And then they're just at home and they just don't know what to do. I think that's actually why a lot of the negative thoughts and stuff like that come in because a lot of guys I think maybe they haven't like, you know, like learnt things that you might be learning or like teaching guys and things like that. And they don't know how to increase their wages and things like that. Maybe they're working like just an okay job that doesn't really have a future. You know, there might be the delivery guy, he delivers the Uber to here, the Uber Eats here, he picks us up in an Uber here and he's like, fuck these guys, got a mansion. Like I could never have that. I'm always going to be driving an Uber till the day I die. He goes home, he doesn't realize that he needs like a higher income skill he needs to learn. Goes home instead, watches Netflix, does other stuff to distract himself, right? Because it's painful. Every time you endure like some sort of pain, they get like a distraction technique when they get home. So I think for many of them, it's just very difficult to really get ahead because they don't know a lot of things.
It's like not everyone can become super successful. That's obvious,
that's
right? Like not everyone can.
And there's an element of luck to it. Like there is much more of an element of luck than anyone will ever admit. You know what? It's just always the thing. Like whether you're in the right place at the right time, still work, but there's still luck, right? Like it's not something that
it's hard work and luck.
Yeah, of course. Versus the other guy who might be unlucky and gets sick or something, and he's like 20 years old and he's got some sickness for a few years, and then it puts him way behind. Or he's got to take care of his mum who might be sick or his sister or something. So everyone has their own like cross to carry in life, and not like you say, not everyone can be hyper successful or rich, but I think everyone can be at least comfortable. I'm not saying everyone. I mean, obviously, if there are people in like the very bottom of I don't know, intelligence or something like that, or they might have a major disability and maybe they might not be able to be that. But I think for the vast majority, they can be at least comfortable financially. And it's hard when they turn on the TV or they turn on Netflix, Instagram, they're scrolling reels and then seeing guys in Lamborghinis and Porsches and, oh, this guy's got all the girls, and we're all just showing our best part on Instagram, right? Like we're all showing our better days. We still do have pretty bad days at times. You know, so, but they only see the best. So when they're sitting in their house and it might be a shithole, they're like, this is bad. How's this guy doing this? This guy's traveling. This girl's doing this. This girl's doing that. And I think that it does, breeds those sort of negative thoughts, which can consume them, right?
Yeah.
And it puts them in like a period of hopelessness.
I mean, the reason why I think like most people have negative thoughts is because society.
Do you think because they compare? Like comparison is the thief of joy? Like if they're comparing to other men who might have more?
I don't think so. I don't think like from the beginning. It was more like I think that most people have negative thoughts because society normalized it. And like when we were born, like even back, like when we were born, when we were little kids.
Depression wasn't so much a thing, right?
Yeah, like we were happy. Like obviously we didn't have to do so much stuff. Like, yeah, but we were happy. We were being positive. We were saying nice things, smiling. But then, like, what happens is we go to school and suddenly, like, our thoughts began to get controlled in a way. and how we operate, how we act, right? And then we stop being positive, then we start being like super negative about stuff. Like, oh, like this guy
Media
has
and stuff's very
better
negative. Very negative
shoes.
too, right?
Yeah.
Like when you turn the TV on, it's more negative than positive, I would
Yeah,
say.
exactly. It's like it's like society is essentially setting the rules in a way. Like, yeah, setting the rules. And we've set a bunch of very, very, very wrong rules for people to follow that make them super negative, and people are even scared to try things these days because people bring people down for trying these days.
They don't have one supporter, right?
Exactly.
I see it where people will post a post and their best friend won't even comment on their own shit. They put a
Exactly.
post up and their best friend is just like, doesn't even comment. It doesn't even write, like even like it.
Yeah.
Or they'll like, whereas women often will put a post up and they'll be like, go queen, you do this, you do that. Women are much
Slay.
more supportive of women than men are of men, because women, while they do still compete, they have like, you know, they band together because they have to, right? Like I imagine in history, women are strongest together. If there's not so many men around, it can be dangerous for women in the past. So they're better together, I think, like at networking and things like that. Whereas men, I think, can be very competitive and they see each other and they don't like to give praise. Or they don't, oh, I don't want him to get a big head. That's more of a man thing. Women don't really say that to each other. But I always have heard men say that many times. I don't want him to get an ego or say that. So I don't want to, like, sometimes you'll put a post up or like a guy's thing or comment and they'll be like, oh, this guy's just like, he's dick riding him so hard. Like, oh, he's glazing this guy. And it's like, that's like,
Yeah.
what's the point if no one's gonna, like, you can't compliment your friends on an accomplishment or something like that? That's like the guy who has the fullest cup.
I mean, people are like, I treat like my closest friend as family, right? People are even scared to say I love you to my friends.
Yeah.
While like friends are literally part of your family. Probably you even spend more time with them than your family, right?
Yeah, I agree. So when you choose too, right?
Yeah.
So you can easily cut them out. So
Yeah.
I think it matters in a lot of time, can be even more. Because family you didn't choose, although you still love them, but your friends you're choosing, you're curating.
Exactly.
So it's
And
big.
like we have those thoughts that, oh, we cannot be positive to each other. Like we cannot support each other. We cannot like say positive things
Get
to
called a
each other.
fucking fag or gay or something just for
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's
I mean, obviously we do that, but
yeah, but just a joke or something. But some people like take it like way too far. It's
Yeah.
crazy, right? It's a real thing now. I think but I think a lot of that stuff is kind of almost like a psyop though to keep guys quite separate,
exactly.
like close but not too close. Because when guys band together, it's very powerful, man. Like you only need a few good guys, and I mean in history that's toppled many monumental things that are much bigger than that. So men together are very powerful, and I think they do try to keep them apart. It's easier to keep them competing. Much of what is going on in society now is fight each other instead of band together. But if, they banded together, I mean, people are very powerful, right? Like a government is not even 1% compared to the people.
Plus like
Citizens.
how you think reflects on your energy and like how people view you. It's not even like if I would walk into the room and I would be clearly visible like what energy I have, right? Like I can be either positive or negative, but it's visible to people like just in the way how you walk, how you present yourself, how you speak, that you are either a positive or a negative person. Yeah.
And also if you're scarce or not, like if you're like very tense.
Mm-hmm.
I find that a lot of the guys, they're awkward, but instead they just cover up with like some hardness exterior. Like, oh, I'm gonna act like really like hard, like I'm angry or something like that, or I'm this or I'm that. And that's often, it's an insecurity thing, right? Like if I cover up, no one can hurt me. But again, you got to open up. Like you have to be able to receive and give. Like the thing is like the glass, the full glass can give, the empty glass can't pour. You can't pour from the empty cup. And I notice, much the same thing. I think that a lot of this, it's an interesting chat though about like EQ. I think it's very missing in society now. And I think it'll be a massive thing into the future where like a lot of AI and robotics and things eventually move over, that softer skills. The soft skills will take someone further in life than they will the other skills. Like the soft skills of like, how you are in a room, how you interact with guys above you, below you. I'm not saying below you as though they're worthless, but you know where you are in the room. If I'm in with Bill Gates or fucking like Elon Musk, I'm not running around mogging on him because I know that where I stand, right? And he'll just sense it and be like, I don't want this guy ever back near me ever again. And you have to, like, rising the ranks of work or something like that, you have to be able to get along. and you have to be able to give respect to other men. And that's a very lost thing. A lot of guys can't be a number two. Like they just can't fathom that. They want to be the man even when they're not. Like they'll run up and be like, I'm the man, I'm the king, I'm the boss. But like you're broke. Like you have like very little goal. Like maybe you're out of shape, you're broke, no one recognizes you as the man. So just because you recognize yourself as the man, that doesn't mean that it's so. Like you always have to know. But when you're around other guys, if you run around and mog on them or make them feel like you're like dunking on them, people don't like that. Like it's not a very nice feeling. Like you said, it's combative, it's tense, it's competitive where it doesn't need to be. And a lot of guys see competitive at work, competitive in business. You don't need to compete with friends. You don't want to have your friend like dunking on you every second. It just starts to get really old and tense. And it lowers, like you say, it lowers the vibration of the room.
Yeah, like you said, recognition is earned.
Yeah, it's true. And yeah, like you said, with the weight loss, you're definitely on track to doing all of that sort of stuff. And what's next? Like what's next after that? How's things with business? What's happening in the real world?
It's only growing. Yeah? It's only growing. It's getting absolutely huge.
It's already huge, right?
It's like hundreds of thousands of students, and it's only growing. It's like it's just getting bigger.
I've had many good feedback. I have some friends that are actually in the product. Some friends that I don't even know, like anyone that we know. I've had girls that I know that have said, "Oh yeah, I watch a lot of the real world, just trying to learn things." And I think that it's very cool. Whether it's sales, copywriting, or something, they're just trying to learn a different skills and get exposed to different guys and different ideas, right?
Exactly. It's like
it's the prices.
The price is crazy, $50. Like, what is that? Like, you need to. How much is a university like on average in USA, for example?
I think a lot, bro. Probably like 100K or something.
100K. Yeah. You pay $50 a month to earn.
And even if you stay there a year and you're like, I've learned enough, I'm out.
Exactly.
That's still what, $600?
Yeah, a lot of money, but like $50 is nothing compared to what you learn, and like. You literally have so good people like running it. Like shout out to the Pope and Professor Andrew. Like they've taught me so much stuff that I don't think I will be anywhere.
Bass, is that who you're talking about?
Andrew Bass.
Yeah, he's good dude.
I wouldn't be anywhere close to where I am now without them. Like they just taught me so much, and I would.
What's their specialty? Is it sales?
So, Professor Andrew is a copywriting professor.
Yeah.
He teaches marketing, essentially. And the Pope is a content creation plus AI professor.
Okay.
So, it's like...
Good into the future.
Exactly. So, and he's also like marketing, but like social media and like digital. So, it's like both of those, like I include in my offer that I offer to clients, but... They've taught me so much, like, one-on-one as well. Like, not only about those skills, they just helped me through so many situations, bad situations where I had a few problems. And
so you almost consider them somewhat of a mentor.
Yeah, literally mentors. Like, they taught me so much in every single area that I needed help with that, like, I'm forever grateful to the real world.
He's got high EQ. Like, he's very switched on.
He's super smart. They are both super wise. But in a different way. It's like Pope is more like creation, like standing out, design, like he's super like a visionary, and Andrew is like more like like,
task oriented.
Yeah, task.
It's more like militarized.
Hard. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But no, he's a good dude. I've met him before.
Warrior. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But I think that, this is the good thing that differentiates it is there are actually people who have worked in that field. Sometimes you go and see a professor or something and it's mostly like, I'm not saying that there aren't professors who are fucking geniuses in universities and things like that, but it can still be theoretical. Like they haven't really, I'm a business, I'm teaching business, and then you'd be like, what business have you run? And they're kind of like a hot dog stand or something that failed. Like, well, they haven't done anything. They haven't really done anything. They've never scaled a business. They've never really had much receipts in that field. Versus the other sort of product, like the Tate product, is often people who have actually done in that field, fails and positives, so they can go both sides, right? Because business is, it's not so easy. There's many facets of it: sales, marketing, actually delivering a product, the customer acquisition, and talking to customers. It's not just a thing of just set up a website and people will just come and buy your product, 'cause it doesn't really work like that. But I think that it's very good, and for the price, I think that it's definitely
it's amazing.
It's tough to really compete with. Like it's tough for someone to really build it. I think that he's monopolized that sector.
I mean, like you can't really compete because there are
And it would
like
take too long to
hundreds
build
of
the
people,
product. Yeah.
hundreds of people
People
working
trust
on it.
them. He's got receipts.
Exactly, like so many like testimonials, but also
I don't think anyone can compete in that field.
No,
Not for even the vast future. I think he'll do very well in that, and it's deserved. You know, it's not something that I think it's a good product. He does well. I've heard many things about it. Many things, yeah, like I said, from women, guys, normal people, like people who actually work a normal job, and then they'll ask me something about it or talk about it. But I've heard many a good thing. I haven't heard bad things about it. But no, it's always good to have a really good chat with you. So we got onto the EQ thing. Where do you want to go next? Do you have any questions to ask for me?
Yeah,
I was surprised at the empathy stuff. I actually quite like it. Not many people really get into that soft skills stuff.
Yeah,
It's mostly people business, you know, like hard logic, focus completely on logic, and the soft skills goes up.
I want to ask you a few questions. Like,
Yeah, of
how
course.
is it going with you? Because like,
Yeah, things are good.
it was a long time since you had a podcast, like a big one, like per like 2 people, right? Because you had with the crew.
Yeah, we do the crew stuff. So we've got 4 of the guys here from Australia. So we all live in this house. I have a house at Zlotter as well. So I live in the city and but no, it's been really good. They're all Australian guys. We do the crew stuff. We started doing some vlogs and stuff like that, but it's mostly just for fun. You know, we do like just vlog our life. I think content's important. I think going into the future will be important. And like I say, it's like putting bricks in the wall, right? Like it's almost not mailing checks to yourself into the future, but somewhat. You know, I think I've got my daughter. I think eventually into the future it'll be nice that she can watch the stuff and see things. And, you know, there's never any guarantee that you're here forever. So it's nice to have things that are online and stuff like that people close to you can always reference out into the future. Because no one ever knows, right? Yeah, and learn from them. And learn from them in real time. You know, actually see what dad was like or what he's like, or he does this or he does that. So I think it's good to journal, that sort of stuff. It is like a journal, right? Like you used to have to write it down, but now you can sit in front of the camera and talk. And somewhat it can be therapeutic, you know, to get your own ideas out. Some of my greatest ideas come from sitting in front of the camera, and I'll talk, and then I'll elaborate on something, and then I'll get my own. Once you speak it out, you rattle it out, and you're like, actually, I think, yeah, it's interesting to challenge your own ideas or challenge your own beliefs. I'm a firm believer of that. I don't think that any belief in your head should be like completely rock solid. I think as more information surfaces, as you like learning more as you get older or anything, you have to always be challenging your beliefs, your friends. You know, you can think, does this friend are they changing? You know, are they like still good for me? Am I still in a good position? Am I still in a good, like in the right business? Just because you're having like good days, you always have to keep challenging everything, right? Does this belief serve me? Is this giving me like a good return? Or is this like, am I having negative thoughts that aren't realistic? There's some guys, consumed by the negative thoughts, and it, like you said, it drags them down like an anchor. But yeah, here in general, the vlog's great. Picking up another car today. I got my Porsche. I'll go pick that up in the afternoon. But that's good. I had to pay so many taxes on it. The taxes are wild, but it's
my favorite car though. Yeah.
It's a beautiful car. You got your license? When you get it, maybe we'll talk about it later, but you can go for a spin. But I picked that up later today. And then on the weekend, we'll do something. But no, we've been having parties. Have parties. It's fun. Invite a couple of the guys to party a bit. But yeah, you can't go too far down that path of the partying. It's a funny thing. I always have things where I'll like party a few months, realize I'm partying too much, and then I'll slow it down. And then it'll be 3 to 6 months of nothing. Then it'll be 3 months of partying again. It's a constant thing. Like it's like the hedonism trail. What do they say? The hedonism treadmill. It's a real thing. As you get used to more like enjoyment or pleasure, it gets normalized faster. You know, driving the Lamborghini might be exciting for the first few weeks, but then when you've had it for like, it just becomes normal, right? You just, I'll get in my car. Yeah, it's my car. You know, like having a good body now, but then that'll be normal. And then later you'll be like, oh, I still want my abs, or I want this, or I want that. We go to the bench 100 kilos, and that was your dream when you first started, when you were benching 20, but now you're like, see, this guy's benching 140. I have to keep pushing harder. I should be able to do more. Yeah, it's just, we normalize that sort of stuff fast, and it's hard to celebrate the wins. But you have to still celebrate the wins, right? You have to celebrate your things. But yeah, stuff is the stuff, though. Like, I know that it sounds crazy to say that when you have a lot of stuff, but they're just things. Like possessions, it's not really, it's like, the hedonism treadmill is a real thing. It's not, doesn't make the man. You know, the man is not a better man because he has a Lamborghini. That's mostly bullshit. There can be someone who has a Lamborghini and is like a parasite. Like maybe he's like a landlord or something, but he's real predatory and he's made all his money in this or personal loans or some crap. And then there's another guy who might be a priest and he has no money, but he's actually helping people. So people can't get so stuck in that consumerism mindset where they think the value comes from like someone who has the Lamborghini versus someone who might be doing a lot of things that goes unnoticed. You know, I mean, some of the people in the past, like Mother Teresa and that, they had fuck all. They made many changes in the world, right? In rags. So but that sort of stuff is kind of like it's becoming quite lost because people don't recognize people that help. They just don't. A lot of people see someone who's helping and is a helpful member of society and they'll be like, but he's broke. Like he's a brokey, so he doesn't matter. Like a cleaner. I mean, maybe you're a cleaner, but the cleaner is like contributing a lot to society because if society's not clean, we'd all be sick. Versus the other guy who might have more money, but he might be like, he's not really adding any value to the world. It's easy to take value. So yeah, a lot of people miss the people that are actually doing good in the world because it's hard to assess. Like people aren't very good at assessing what's valuable. They're good at assessing what's valuable if you have the 100K watch on and all of this stuff, but they don't really assess the quality of the information coming out. Like you said, if he looks right and everything else looks good, then he must be telling the truth. Like if Elon Musk talks, I'm not against Elon Musk, but just because he's an expert in a couple of things, that doesn't mean he's an expert at everything. Whereas many people think that. Like if someone's really rich, they're like, he knows everything. And that's not.
Most rich people are actually unimpressive.
Yeah,
like,
he
I've
doesn't
noticed that. Like, I mean, not Elon. Like,
Yeah,
I like Elon.
But he's exceptional. I mean, he's the top.
Yeah, but like most rich people I've met, like sometimes I just like I am in Prime Cut or whatever, and just like randomly start a conversation.
They're just expert at one thing, right?
Yeah, it's like some of those people are not even smarter than most people like that live bad life.
Right place, right time, or had like some sort of luck. Luck's a big part of it. But no, I agree with that. But often I guess they think that when they've made money, they're expert on everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's not. Yeah, it's really just not the case. But I would think, it's he who's adding the most value to the world. Like you say, if you want to see changes, be the change. Things like that. Like, what are you thinking about? Sounds like you're already thinking about some sort of legacy. Like, what's the legacy? What do you see yourself like 10 years from now? What's the legacy of you when you're like my age?
I'm gonna say this.
Are you gonna be in this house? One like this? Is what you want? A mansion? Or you're not really bothered by it?
I honestly like.
You don't really care.
It's not I don't care because like I would love to have like a huge house, but it's more like I've became the Marshal at 15, right? So it's just like it would be interesting to see like the Marshal in 10 years. I cannot fully.
You haven't even found your stride yet, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I didn't even fully like how do I say this? I don't have full control over this, right? I have control that okay, I'm gonna put in the work and everything, but at the end of the day, it's like we will see what happens. I want to build a huge legacy because I want to actually have an impact, right? And I don't want to have an impact where, like, I do some good thing and like I am like super famous. I don't want to go there for the fame, but like for example, there are many people that have never been recognized, as you said, that for example invented the things that we use daily.
Yeah, but they didn't really make any money.
Who
right?
invented the chair, for example?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
many who didn't patent the invention too, right? And they didn't get rich, but they come up with the idea.
Yeah, but they've changed the world forever.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to change the world for the better. That's my plan. Is like I don't need any recognition. I just want to change the world, right? Obviously, I'm gonna still like be super hard on my business work and
you'll get what you get on the way.
Exactly. I want to like honestly become like super successful, but I also want to have a super positive impact on the world because that's my goal. I want to inspire. I want to help people, and since day one, I was there to help people because my primary motivation,
of course, especially in real world, right?
Yeah, but my primary motivation when I was even starting was to make my mom happy because she was super disappointed with like the way I was, right? I wanted to make my dad
Should have been
happy.
worried about the future, right?
Exactly. So I started this to help people, and I've realized that this is my most important
You
task.
maybe realize how many people need help too, right?
Exactly.
It's not like I think it's a large part of the population.
Yeah.
They need help in a direction for business, but then also when you go into it, like for work, it's this so deep through, right? Like maybe they're underachieving in that regard, but then as you like unwrap the onion, so to speak, you realize like it's many layers, like personality, psychologically, often there's many things of why they're not delivering. Because when I talk to guys, they'll say, I want to be rich, I want to do this, I want to do that. My business is failing. And it's very rarely the business itself. It's them. Like there's something down, girlfriend drama, fighting with a girl, fighting with business partners, drugs, alcohol, partying. Something is wrong on the way to there. So as you get through, I think it's like the psychology stuff is, I think, a great part of success, right? Like you have to have the mindset to be successful. You have to avoid the vices. You have to be able to move forward. You have to be fit. You have to be healthy. You have to have something to control your head. Like you doing a lot of gym, that's a good one. I think if you don't, you have to have something to relieve the stress. Otherwise, you can go to something that's like very negative to relieve the stress, right? Which is what most people do. Netflix, porn, eating shit, drugs, weed, like the stuff that dulls all the thoughts, but it's all crap into the future, right?
Well, what are you chasing?
For me, I don't know. It's mostly, I think that I'm already rich. I mean, I'm already rich enough in that regard. I don't really have aspirations to be worth like hundreds of million or billionaire or something like that. To me, it doesn't really change when you're worth maybe like 20 million to 50 million, maybe 20 million to 200 million. Like it's a big jump. I mean, like Tate level, I mean, it's going to be a massive jump. But for the amount of work and things like that that would be required, I think I'm just a believer of like, I want a body that beats 90% of people. I want to be able to go to the boxing. I know I can beat 95% of people up. I don't need to put that last to be the best in the world. I know that it's going to require all of that work again, stacked on top of each other, and to be richer than 99% of people. I mean, and also able to do whatever I want. That's enough. I don't need to beat the last 0.9% because it's going to do all that work again. I think that, yeah, if you're chasing money, chasing numbers, chasing nicer stuff, it never ends. So I think for me, it's happy to end that sort of stuff and then just focus on, legacy. I like to help the guys out, the guys that we deal with. I help them out with investing and business. They help me out with things. You know, we've got a good group here. It's good to be able to, I wouldn't say that I mentor them entirely, but I'm the oldest guy here. So it's good to be able to, deal with them, and they're always getting better, and they're very good to learn, and they're doing a lot. They're much further ahead than I was at their age. So it's good to see how many guys are ahead, like even in their early 20s, and they're already doing things that are exceptional, where you look and you're like, geez, this guy can really be like something special, right? Like they can be a massive success because they've got so much information and they actually implement it and they're doing things. So for me, it's probably mostly about legacy and giving back and the same stuff. I like to give to charity. I gave away a heap of money in the last year to charity. I like to do that sort of stuff, like help people, help kids out. I like to do a lot of stuff where it's not really recognized. I like to just be able to give someone something. If it's not from me, just give them things. I like to be able to change things for a person, and maybe that's their own ego. I like to know that I've changed a life. Like there's a girl that I give money to. I'm not going to say who. She's a kid, and she's got some like quite major disability. I give her money, her parents' money. I donated 100,000 to kids charity a few months ago. But I like to know that there's like people who have a difference made. Like someone's alive because of me, or someone's like something's changed because of me. So it's like the same thing, right? Like you're changing reality in real time. So it's its own, like, I don't know if it's like a God complex or something, but I like to know that something's happened, like because of me, and you can see it, right?
It's not a God's complex. It's more God's telling you to do something positive.
Yeah, versus just buying
and it's beautiful.
Yeah, versus just buying something, right?
Beautiful.
Yeah, versus just buying something. Because I think, like you said, like it's about what difference can you make. I don't think it's really going to matter if you had like a Venador versus if you're like, I saved like 5 or 6 people's lives when you're like 60. I don't think that sort of stuff, it matters as much. And I can say that because I have all of that stuff. But it just doesn't matter as much as people think. It's just like a way of dick measuring contest. Like I wanted to get it and I got it. And I got it and I don't need it from then on, but it's nice to get it, right? Because when you're starting from nothing, you've seen it. You kind of have that self-doubt. I went through the phase of when I was broke and then started to make good money, and I just had so much to prove. I was like, I need to prove, I've gone through that. I need to prove to my ex. I need to prove to all of my friends that I'm now the man. I got to buy all this shit. I got to post it. So they're all just going to be so annoyed. And they're all going to be like, I doubted him and now he's the man and he's doing this, he's doing that. But then as the years go by after that, you kind of like transcend to the next step.
Yeah.
Where now I feel like I've transcended to like, your ego starts to like kind of dies. My ego's like died in jail. I don't really have a massive ego. I would say that I had a massive ego when I went to prison, and then I had like an ego death in prison. Who I thought I was, I realized that I didn't want to be that person. But that comes after a lot of like hard times, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a massive reflection on yourself and sit there and be like, challenge your belief intensely in quiet and be like, is this who I want to be? And then it's like a complete crushing, right? Because who you wanted to be or who you thought you wanted to be, you're like, I've wasted all of this time, like being the person that I don't want to be. This isn't the life that I want. And then, but then you can step into the next like shoes, right? And be like, this is who I want to be. Because I think, yeah, ego itself is good to drive you to a point, but then kind of once you reach it and once you are comfortable and you know who you are, you don't really need this like massive ego because it just doesn't help. Like it doesn't really help you. It doesn't help you to dunk on people who don't have stuff. Like I don't need to do that. I don't need to run around and tell people who, it's like if you're an amazing fighter, do you really need to run around and tell everyone that you're great? Like people know.
Yeah,
They're just like,
exactly.
it speaks for itself, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to run around and tell people that you're 6'4". Like it's pretty obvious, right? They see it. So it's versus the other guy, maybe he's like a bit shorter and he has to, feels like that inferiority complex, right?
I mean, as you said, like who you are speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You don't need to speak it.
I agree. The more you talk about it, the less you're about it, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, most of the time. It's just, it depends more like if you want to, for example, inspire someone to do something, then it's good to talk about it.
Yeah.
But many people speak about it for wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Actually, most things are done for wrong reasons. That's what I kind of like realized. It's like most motivations, most like chasing money is literally for wrong reasons. Like they just want to brag. Right?
I think the same thing. Like I found when I eventually started to make good money, I thought that I had all this stuff to prove to all of these people, but really it's just, you're just proving it to yourself, right? And once you step into those next pair of shoes, like the man that you thought you could be, you step into that next level. It's like the book of many chapters, right? Like you have your chapters of Alex when you were in the UK, you had chapters when you were in Poland, you had chapters when you were doing all of this stuff, fat, skinny, like not skinny, but in shape. And you'll have many chapters through your life and they close. You can look back on the old chapters, but you're always like, you're moving into the next level each time, right? It's like step.
Yeah, and each level has new
Challenges
ceiling.
as well, right?
Yeah,
And you
then
realize
new
there's not really any
ceiling.
ceiling, right? Like of life, there's very few ceilings or things that you can't do.
What I meant by ceiling is, a ceiling is where you reach a new level and you see the new heights.
Yeah.
It's like climbing up the mountain and like it's super tall, so even like the clouds are covering the
Yeah,
top.
you think, oh, I'm at the top, and then you're like,
Yeah.
wow.
But then
Not even
you
halfway.
climb to the top and you see more tops. So it's like,
But then the people who you were around, you start to see it in them, like you are changing a lot, right? Do you ever find like sometimes you have to change your circle that you're in, or you haven't had that?
yeah, I needed to. Yeah, I mean, like it's not like something
The whole
uncommon.
circle, or just a couple of people, or
So
because you have your circles in school, then you have your circles of all things.
I
right?
mean, I don't go to school, so I
Yeah,
don't.
in the
have a-
past.
Yeah, in the past was mainly like I just had few people and just they were my friends for the entirety of me being in school. But yeah, I needed to change my kind of environment a lot of times. Yeah.
What do you find like is, because I find many guys, they're harder to let their friends go that are negative, their friends go that are, you know, maybe not adding anything to their life or being very difficult on them. And sometimes it's hard for them to leave a bad relationship. Like, how did you find that? Did you find it, I know, leaving certain circles, because it can be lonely, right? Like you can leave something and then move into nothing. Like it's like a leap of faith, right? Like if you leave one friend, sometimes you lose a few friends because they're like, well, kind of like, fuck you, we're going to stick with this friend and now you're not going to be part of what we do. So it's like and with a girl too, sometimes it's like you cut it off with her and now you kind of have no one.
So I view it in a way like I just want like peace. I don't have anything against people. Like truly, I don't have anything
Yeah, it's not
against
war,
my
right?
friends. It's not war.
No.
It's more like
We're moving in different directions kind of thing.
yeah. It's not even
Not in a bad
moving
way.
moving in a different direction. It's just we've spent an amazing time together. And like life is like a book, and it's just time to move into a different chapter. And and like and that's just it.
There's no bad blood.
Yeah.
And with girls, it's the same thing, right? Like we had a good time together, and now we have to.
Yeah, but it's essentially like, you sometimes need to end certain episodes. I remember I once compared a life into a literal like Netflix series, because your life is literally like episodes. You have seasons.
Some are good, some are
Some are
horrible.
good, some are bad, some are like
Drama.
spontaneous. Yeah, exactly.
Some are crazy.
Exactly.
Some are boring. Some are chill.
Exactly. So,
Especially when you're grinding. Did you have like a period? I see a lot of the guys online, they talk about that monk mode where they kind of do nothing but work, or nothing but like bunker down and focus on like development. Maybe they're reading a lot. Maybe they're watching like a lot of stuff, real world, reading all the stuff. Have you ever had like that sort of a time where you've just focused?
interesting
Solid.
question. So I have it right now.
Oh,
It's
really?
like
We obviously changing a lot.
yeah. I mean, like I've started it like a few weeks ago. Like I have this like certain thing where I just need to focus a lot. So essentially, I'm just training. Rest is going into either content or work, which is technically all work. But I just honestly at the beginning I just worked. I just done as
So you
much
kind
as
of just slipped into it. You didn't have it planned where you're like, nah, I'm locking in. This is it. I'm over.
plans are good, but sometimes, like, in chess, like you need to strategize a lot, right? But I've learned that you also sometimes just need to be spontaneous and just act in like different directions. For example, in chess, right? So I just realized, okay, let me not strategize this one. Let me just do what I am supposed to do and just work as
Bunkering.
hard as possible, do as many things to reach my goal. And I don't need to plan this. I will just do it as best to my ability. And yeah.
It's worked well. And how do you lay it out? Like, do you have like I don't know, we have the whiteboard and things like that of things that we want to do. How do you lay out like your tasks for the day? Because I find some guys really struggle with that. They'll have ideas in their head or something, and then they'll be like, I'm going to go to the gym when I wake up, I'm going to do this. And then they're Netflix, they're work, they're watching whatever they're watching, they're missing things. And then it's 8 o'clock or 9 and they're like, go to gym, and then they'll just miss it.
At the beginning or now?
Now.
Now, okay.
And now what's changed? I assume that it's much more methodical.
Okay, so at the beginning, I had a whiteboard. I just wrote down, okay, what do I need to do? And like in what sort of time?
Order of some sort, right?
Yeah. In what sort of order? And now, how it works is essentially I just open like my calendar, and I just write down.
So just
like,
use a phone. Tasks for the day.
yeah. Just write down like 5 tasks that I cannot skip for any
Important
reason.
ones. Yeah.
Like like non-negotiables, most important.
What's that? Gym, whatever it is for work, good
Yeah.
food.
And rest are kind of future tasks that I try to complete today. So
And if you can get them in.
yeah, so it's like, so there are tasks that help you now, and there are tasks that help you in the future.
Okay, yeah, the mailing checks to yourself in the future. Right?
Yes. So like there is something called the Eisenhower matrix, right? And there is like separation of tasks. So there is important but not urgent. There is important, urgent. There is not important but urgent, and there is non-important, non-urgent, right? So all of those like super important tasks are urgent and important, but all of those additional tasks are important but not urgent. And I just don't do anything that's not important. And
Yeah, that's fair. So you have your stuff that you can't miss. What are the 5 that you can't miss? What do you usually have?
So
them down
I
to?
usually have gym. It changes like the rest.
Yeah.
The rest changes, but I usually
But work, gym,
yeah.
something, right?
So it's always gym. It's always cardio. But for example, I have like certain free. Normally, the rest are like kind of things changing daily.
Yeah,
so for
work
example,
tasks.
yeah. So
Something-
like AI automation, for example, I need to set up this automation so I can send emails, whatever. So that's it. Then I have like, okay, another non-negotiable is record some content. Then another non-negotiable is, for example, send this many emails to this many people, right? for example.
What do you think of the AI? Like, that's an interesting topic. What do you think? Because I assume that with automation, things like that, of what you do, other things, that it's very interesting, right? Like, it's a valuable tool. And I know that Tate and all that, they talk a lot about it. They have their own things until they have their own campus or something, right?
Exactly.
Some sort of thing. What do you think of that space? Like, is that something that you're interested in, something you're not really interested in?
I know AI. I mean, like, I've
Because
learned
you're an AI
AI.
professor, right?
Pope is one of the AI professors. Another one is Despite. And essentially, AI is super good. Like, for example, we have tools like Bland AI that can help you literally set up the best customer service on the planet.
Okay.
That can operate over 1 million phone calls a day, and just it's a robot. It's AI, right?
And it just goes off a script or something.
Exactly, like it you can set it up in any way. You
Any
can
product.
program it to calling everyone gay. Like, you can do that, but you
sounds
can
pretty
set
cool.
it up for cold calling, so you can cold call businesses with it. There is so many AI tools that you can genuinely use
To make money.
Or
Or at least get more customers. And
exactly.
Things like that, right?
You can even send 10,000 emails a day, just like that. Personalized 25% reply rate, just using AI.
And they have a lot of the tools for content in that too, right? Editing and all of that stuff. Right? And they're actually getting pretty good, I think, from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But what do you think? There's going to be a lot of hype in that space. There's a lot of interest. There's a lot of people in the campus trying to learn it.
Yeah,
Because I would
lots of
assume
people.
a few years from now it'll be pretty important.
So how I view it is, many people say that AI will replace everyone or whatever. It's not gonna do that. It's more gonna be like, they will hire a person that knows AI.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a super important skill. And AI can just help you in a lot of ways. Like, why spend, like, let's say 10 hours doing this activity by
Cutting
yourself?
up clips or something as well.
Yeah.
Right?
If you can spend, like, let's say 2 hours with a use
Working
of
with the
AI,
product.
obviously you will still be working, but just using AI help you make it done so much faster, so you can do more things, and just it makes you, like, it gives you the ability to just do more things at once.
I would think that it would just take market share mostly from the underachievers or the people who weren't doing an amazing job, and the tool can replace them pretty fast.
Exactly.
But the guys who actually are doing very good work and they're known in the space, I think that it will still be, they'll still have a position because they'll just use the tools to do what they're already doing, and they'll be able to service more clients with the tools, like you said. So the lower guys, the ones that weren't doing great work, will lose their people. So they'll just get absorbed by the guys who were exceptional. And then they'll be able to run it for a cheaper price, but they'll have more clients. So I would assume that, because a lot of the tools too, there must be a industry for people to develop the tools and things like that as well going into the future. If you have like that sort of mind to develop different products, right? I think with AI editing and I can imagine the AI for many things that we haven't even fathomed yet. They'll eventually be able to write its own programs and have its own ideas.
There will be a lot of things AI.
I think that, when do you think like it'll start getting interesting in that space? Like a few years? Like, I mean,
What do
it's
you
a
mean by
little bit
interesting?
bubbly now, but when it starts to get like very interesting and exciting, like when there's actually AI itself that can build products and build tools, and you can ask it things, and it's completely decentralized, like not some chat bot that you can talk to that's like kind of still a little bit censored and a little bit biased, like a true AI.
I think AI, like, the more time flies by, the better it gets naturally.
Like computers, right?
Yeah, because they just progress by themselves as well. I think when it's gonna be super, super interesting is in the next 2-3 years,
Yeah, so
or even less.
2 years,
honestly.
2 years maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's when it's gonna get interesting, and when, of course, it will be interesting. Many people will want to learn it. And so, now I have to learn, but the guys who've actually been learning it the year or two before will have already.
they're already experts.
Yeah, they'll already be experts, so they'll be the ones teaching, and they'll be the ones able to monetize.
Yeah.
So the work's got to be done today. It's like learning computers, I think, when DOS was out or something like that, versus the one who's, Windows 98's out. Now I have to learn it because I got to learn how to play games.
But look how perception literally changes the game of life. Like, when ChatGPT first came out, I was thinking, oh, I can use this to cheat in school and like just like write essays for me, right?
And it can.
And then I started thinking, like, wow, this is very helpful. Like, I can literally invest less time into doing stuff that is not super important for me, so I can move on to more important tasks. And then like I realized that, oh damn, you can make money of it. So like your perspective and your perception and your kind of the way you look at things is super important when in business, right? Like, yeah, that's it.
Like I said, it's a big thing of being able to monetize, being able to provide like some value or be able to service, solve problems. I can use this to solve problems for my clients versus the other client who maybe they're not as skilled, they can't really use it in the way that you can. And they're happy to pay for that sort of information. But is there any more questions for me?
So
What do you think of like the place? I think that it used to be a for content place. They used to have the Team X here, and now we have the crew here. They think that we're related. We're not. But no, it's a good spot. The guy wouldn't sell it to me. The guy that owns it, so we're just renting it.
How much is it?
He wanted to sell it, and he told me that he won't sell it, but unless it's 10 million euros. It's not worth that. It's definitely not worth that.
I mean, it's a huge house.
Beautiful house, but I think it's worth like maybe a few million euros, maybe like 4. But 10
probably
is wow.
20 million
Bloody,
CLN.
yeah, so maybe 4 or 5 euro, I would think. I think he's dreaming, but he always start high, I guess, with the negotiation. But he's been cool. He's been good. We got the dog here. He's happy with that. He's a cool tenant, Polish guy. But no, it's been very good. It's good to have a massive house, but like you say, it's the people that make up the house. If it was just me here in this massive house, it wouldn't be very fun. Like sometimes when you're in a big spot, it just reminds you that you're on your own, and it's not very enjoyable. Like you go on a holiday, and if you're on your own, you're in a nice hotel. It doesn't really feel that good. The 1 or 2 days, it's exciting, and then after that, you're like, I miss my lads. I miss having the guys here. I miss being able to talk shit. Versus you might be in a hostel, and it sucks. But you're with your guys, and it's fun, right? You go with the lads here, and you can laugh and joke about how much it sucks. So it's
At
fun.
the end of the day, it's all about the people and like your family, your friends. But I have a question to you, right? Because you are a very smart person.
Yeah.
What would you like to know? Like just in general, like if you had the availability to get to know certain information, what would you like to know?
I don't know. I don't really think that I would like to know. I think there's some things that it's like if you could find a diary with all of the secrets of Earth and all of the secrets of the world, like would you really want to read it? Unless everything's laid out and all of the lies maybe that you've been told and things like that, it might make you like really resentful. If they could tell you that you could open the book and read every secret, everything that you would want to know, but then you would not be able to take photos of it, video it. You can't really like tell people because they'll just think that you're nuts. So you'll have no evidence that you've ever read it. You'll know things, but people won't believe you. And then, if you come out, and maybe even for everything from Jesus Christ time, but then maybe you realize a lot of the stuff that you were told, specifically government stuff, was lies and things like that. It might make you like really jaded. It's like sometimes if something happens, some stuff you don't want to know, right? Like, because then if you have to be around these people and you learn certain things about them, it's very hard to really be around them. So I would think that some things that I don't think that I would want to know. Really many things, there's nothing that I really would like to know that I don't already know. Because I think the same. I already have my own ideas and I think that I'm right on things, but I'm definitely open to have my mind changed. But no, I don't think there's really much that I would want to know. Even if the afterlife or wherever we go or something like that, I think that it's like it was meant to be the way that it's meant to be, and that's the way it is. I'm like a naturalist. I think that it's just weird. Everything is how it's meant to be, right? Like I think I know where I'm going at the end and things like that, so I don't really need the ride spoiled. You know what I mean? It's like being told the roller coaster before you go on it. I think it's easier to just see it and go. We're all having the same thing. So I think it's the same thing. I wouldn't want to have it different than others. I think that if you knew everything, like if you're a religious man and you now know everything, like it's kind of like that's not the way that it's intended. You know what I mean? Like the boss set it up a certain way. You kind of have to adhere to the rules of the game because you won't really you have no faith then, right? Like your faith is that you know that you're right because you've seen it. You already know it's true. If you know you're going to heaven and you know it's real.
Faith.
It's now just you're like it's evidence
just
back.
Knowledge.
Yeah, you know it now. Versus the other guy who's maybe is just a leap of faith, right? He believes a certain thing for 60 years, dies, and then he goes the right way. Versus the other guy who's like, oh, I have to be a Catholic Christian, anything, because I know that that's the truth, so I have to stick that route out. And it's not really faith anymore. Like you know that it's true, so you're just going down that road. I think that we all have it the same way. I'm like a naturalist, so I wouldn't really read too much things. What about you?
Interesting question. I mean, like,
because you're a religious man.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't want to know that. Like I wouldn't want to know
Any
like
massive secrets, right? Like the massive ones of the world, like world secrets, but also secrets of like, I don't know, like religious stuff and things like that. Might make you jaded if you see certain things that people have done.
I would honestly
Imagine the stories like how and why Jesus Christ was killed and things like that. Might make you pretty jaded or pissed off to see.
I would just want to know like okay, I honestly would want to know like what is the perfect version of Earth and like humanity? Where can we go? Because I know that every single person on this earth like has the ability to contribute very positively to the world, but not many people do. But imagine that everyone would just try to make society better every single day, make their life better, make other people's life better.
I think, they used to do that, right? Like
Yeah.
in the past, but now it's like you compare the streets of the 60s to the streets of today.
That's
They're
how
very different.
civilizations were built.
They're very different.
And then they got comfortable and then they fell down.
Turned on the negativity, right?
Yeah. What if it was never turned on?
Yeah, I think that it's a very interesting topic. I have my own theories of that sort of stuff, but yeah, I would like to think that that's possible. Do you think that's possible? Do you think that the Earth, or do you think it's just going more the other way in ways that we can't imagine? I just think it's going more the other way, inflation, things like that. I think people's quality of life and standard of living and things they accept, like the quality of themselves, is just going to go to zero.
I want to think, I mean, like positively saying, I think everyone can change the world. As I said it before, right? I don't think we are destined for one certain way. Is many people.
Do you think that we'll be able to turn it back? Do you actually think that that's going to happen?
I think there is a possibility. I don't know.
Do you think it's possible without a war?
Happen.
Do you think there'll be a world war and then it's possible? I think it's hard without some massive incident.
If you think about it, aren't we in a world war already? Like
different world, right?
Yeah, it's more
Different
like
war.
an information war.
Yeah, psychological war.
Yeah.
Like they monopolize what goes in your head.
So I think we are already going through that.
It's like a spiritual war almost.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also see like little skirmishes coming out with this like Muslim thing, like this. It's like a spiritual war, and there's little skirmishes starting in certain countries, like showing signs of like an actual spiritual war. Right?
Look, Christians and Muslims are divided, like
and kind of pushed apart, right?
Exactly. Women, men divided. Yeah. Even men and men are divided. Yeah. Women and women are divided. Everyone is literally divided now. And I think we are in the middle of like a war, like against each other, right? Yeah. And
it's kind of like somewhat a Cold War, but it's still little skirmishes, but a Cold War.
Exactly. Cold War, yeah, very good example.
Like Russia and America. Yeah. They weren't actually at war, but they were still doing things, passive-aggressive stuff against each other. And certain
intelligence war and stuff like that.
I think, very similar to what's happening now. But it's like you said, it's very negative. It's very scarcity-based. It's fear-based. Oh, I have to harden up. I have to be this cold man because the world's so hard and I can't trust other men. They might fuck me over. I can't trust women. They're bad. Every girl's a hoe. And I can't trust, this specific religion because they're all terrorists. I can't trust this specific religion because they're all priests can be bad. So it's like they only see the minority of bad people in everything, right? But I've known many Muslims that are great men. I've known many Christians and Catholics that are great men, and women, and women as well. But there are shit ones in every person, right? There's shit people of every race, religion, but it doesn't mean that the whole thing is bad. Yeah. But it's always seems to be like lit up of the extreme. Like the extremes seem to get all of the attention now. Like the extreme right wing, the extreme left wing. There's no like, they used to be kind of together, but now they're just getting so much more separated, right? Like so much more apart.
Everything is literally being separated.
Like a magnet, pulling it all apart. And it seems to be getting further and further over time though, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like, I think that there is a way that we can unite. And I believe like some people are already uniting in a way. Because Andrew,
tribes,
Tristan,
brotherhoods.
So many different people had like a massive impact. And people are...
Yeah, it's definitely changed the timeline to a degree, for sure.
Yeah, people are already waking up in a way. And if those people, like, contribute positively to our world and like have a good positive impact, trust me, world will be beautiful, beautiful place. And like, but now we live in a super negative world, and it's just like, I hope we have time and like to change it around, because if we don't, then it's gonna be like a full-blown war, and like a lot of bad things will
some
happen.
sort of civil war as well, right?
Exactly.
Religions fighting each other.
Yeah, that's gonna turn into like
Hatred, actual hatred, right?
Yeah.
Not just, oh, I'm nervous of this
Bloodbath
guy.
as
Yeah,
well.
actual hatred. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Especially UK countries like that will become a mess.
Exactly.
I always have a thought that they're doing that intentionally, and then they're going to instruct some sort of like massive control order of the people. They're creating division, creating all of this stuff so that people go crazy and fight, and then they install some sort of new regime or some sort of new authoritarian laws and stuff that keep the people squashed. Some sort of new police or something that give them a lot of control orders, right? Like surveillance and stuff like that is astronomical now. I think that guys in UK and things getting in trouble for tweets, things like that, like it's getting a little bit too extreme, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely the way that the world is heading, and I would think the same. I would hope that it can head in much more positive direction. But no, I think we've had a good chat today. I think we can definitely do a part 3. I think we should do something on business one time. We'll get into business. I think we both bust out
We
the
have a lot
whiteboard.
of like topics.
Together
good
we should
topics,
bust out the whiteboard. I think we could do it. But no, it's very interesting to have a chat with someone who talks about like the soft skills, talks about like EQ stuff, you know, like empathy, talks about psychology. Yeah, specifically, you've quite like a deep mind, right? Like you have someone that you're not like a surface level guy. Many of the guys are like surface level, like hard men, so to speak, or they act like something a certain way and they can't like express their thoughts or their ideas, or maybe even express their feelings because they're like bottled up. But it's good to be able to be, it's good that you can do that, right? While still being strong. Strength comes from accepting every facet of who you are, not hiding things. Because how can you be strong if you don't love your kids? How can you be strong if you don't kiss your kids? Say, oh, I'm proud of you, I love you. You can't say that. You're not a strong man. Like you're like passing on that to your kids because they don't know, right? Passing on that scarcity.
You know what stops people like from thinking deep and having deep thoughts? It's like fear, as I said it before, right?
Being judged, maybe.
Being judged. So yeah, it's like
called weak or pussy or something like.
So it's coming back to fear. And you realize that you need to express what you feel and think, like in a way, like on certain
Yeah, we have
topics.
feelings for a reason, right?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me?
We have our feelings for a reason, like they exist for a reason.
Exactly.
Keep you alive. Keep you going.
We have feelings for a reason, and we have our thoughts. And even if your thoughts are wrong, it's good to put them out there. So, like, okay.
Get feedback too, right?
Yeah, you can get feedback. You will learn from it. But at the same time, like, okay, what if it was wrong at the time, but now, for example, or in the future, it's going to be correct?
True.
And
or you can refine it. Maybe I'm slightly off, but now I've refined it. I'm right.
If you constantly keep putting thoughts out there, you will notice how your mind is
expands.
Expands, exactly.
I agree. Oh, it's very good to get your take on it, Alex. And I'm sure that we'll be doing it again soon. We'll have to come back for a third. I think on business it'd be good. Business, finance. We can talk about real world more. But yeah, the good product. You're doing good work in there. And I'm proud of you for the fat loss, man. I know that it's just the beginning for you. I know that you're going to excel at everything that you do.
Thank you.
And we'll have to do it again soon, brother.
Good to see you.